Men are from Mars, women are from Venus. This book has broken records in so many aspects. It sold over 15 million copies worldwide, and it was translated into 40 languages. And I quote, it was the highest ranked work of nonfiction of the 1990s, according to a CNN report. So I'm very honored to welcome the author of this book, the relationship counselor and bestseller author, John Gray. Thank you very much, John, for taking the time and being here with us today. Welcome at Friends for a Better World.
Well, thank you so much. I'm all for a better world.
Well, I'm very curious now how you did that, John, because we live in a world now full of gaps, full of people who split apart, who have different opinions and kind of think that they cannot get along anymore. When you came out with your books at first, this was in the middle of the 1980s, those gaps obviously were very obvious between men and women. Now we have so many more gaps. So was there kind of a key, or what did you do to kind of find that exact subject to bridge differences?
Well, I grew up in a family with 5 brothers. So I knew what it was to be masculine. We were always competing, doing sports, fighting. I had a job, a lot of traditional male things. And then during the 60s with rock and roll, sex, drugs, and rock and roll, I was there, and you go up, but you crash down. And around that time, the Beatles had gone to India to study meditation with the Maharishi. They said you can get high without taking drugs. So I thought, oh, I'll try that. And I loved it. I became ambitious. I became his personal assistant. I lived the lifestyle of a Hindu monk. A celibate for 9 years, even though I love sex, and it was a big part of my life before that. It was the discipline of meditation and yoga and all those various things helped me to connect to more of my masculine side. A disciplined life is very masculine. Then I came out into the world, and not having sex for 9 years, that became a focal point for me. Making love, women were beautiful. And they were very different from me. So I really saw the differences, particularly with sex in the beginning, because I would interview them. Basically, I said, I've been a monk for 9 years. Teach me about your body. And so I learned these things that most men, I certainly had never heard of about women, that they were different. So I began teaching classes. I'm a good teacher. I like teaching. So I taught classes on Tantra, on Taoist sex, on making love. And it was the polarity between men and women in sex, because we're very different in sex. Our needs are different. That's what created the passion. But then it became very superficial for me if sex was just sex and not sex and love. And so I got married, had a loving relationship, but still my wife was very different from me. And when the differences showed up, because I've been very spiritual, I have a lot of unconditional love inside of me. I can listen and understand the way she thought and the way she felt. And it was very different from me and my brothers. And then I became a marriage counselor, and I kept helping couples, helping women to understand where he's coming from, and helping men to understand where she's coming from. Because otherwise, for many men, it seems like she's overreacting. She doesn't make sense. And for women, it seems like he's selfish. He doesn't care about her at all. So just explaining these ideas for many relationships, not all, somebody's a drug addict, that's a different department of growth. But when people are relatively healthy, these ideas dramatically help their relationships right away.
Wow. So this was kind of like a ride through a lot of decades now you gave us. This is also something that bridges over to our time today, because we have also many discussions about what is male and what is female. And people say, oh, I looked up in the internet and I was kind of Googling, get some information about you. And I found a page who said that your books have the premise that men and women have only genetically differences, but it's not true. In this book, this is your book, I opened just the first few pages and I just want to read it. You say the differences between men and women are because of biological differences, parental influence, education, birth order, cultural conditioning by society, the media, and history. So there's many more reasons to be different between men and women, but we have those political discussions also in those days saying, oh, it's just a matter of how you define yourself. So is that something that you reflected on in your books as well, or do you have current thoughts about it that maybe can help us also to bridge differences?
Well, in my world, gender is biological, and who we are as individuals are affected by our culture, our education, our parents, and all those things you just said. So many things mold me, but when it comes to the gender part of me, men are men, women are women, and emotionally we can be all over the place. Mentally, we can be all over the place, and we're all unique individuals. But when it comes to actually the body frame, the things that developed in the womb unconsciously, the Y chromosome had a big effect. And what it did, when we look at science, the Y chromosome that women do not have, that men have, we all start out for 3 weeks the same. And then the Y chromosome awakens 23 genes in people who have the Y chromosome. What those 23 genes do is they override a lot of the female genes in every male and makes us a reverse. So everything starts becoming the inverse of the other, and many things remain the same. I'm very much in touch with what we'll say my female side. Tomorrow I'll spend all day with my grandchildren. I love children. I love women. And I have lots of male friends. I don't have a sexual attraction to male friends. Some men do. Some women have a sexual attraction to women. These are all the unique variations of who we are as individuals. But when we look at the biology of men and biology of women, I think it's very helpful to recognize that a woman's body is designed by nature, unconsciously, without any of those influences, to make a baby. Whether she makes a baby or not, she has the potential to make a baby. And in that potential to make a baby, to hold a baby, generate it within her, there's a certain amount of hormones that are very unique to women, and hormone balances at different times of the month, which are very important, that affect her mood, affect her desires, affect her motivations, affect her happiness. And for men, it's a different set of hormones. And I've simplified it. It's still complex. But in my later books, because it's be really that different, biologically, if you measure a woman's stress level when she's experiencing elevated cortisol levels, okay? Now, why women want to look at this is because I'm talking about relationships and love and passion and cooperation between men and women. And when are women and men or men and men, when you have a stress response, whether you're a man or a woman, you have a bias towards looking at negativity. We don't want to have a bias towards looking at negativity because we don't see the positivity. And in relationships, we want to have a balance of looking at what are the problems, what are the solutions, what is the good, what is the not good. And the right relationship for any person, there's more good than there is not so good. No relationship, at least I've counseled, is perfect. Nobody's perfect. So we want to objectively look at stress, this cortisol in the body. When a woman is stressed, if you measure her hormones, her estrogen levels compared to a man's will be much, much lower. Normally, a woman needs to have, compared to a man's, she needs to have 10 times more estrogen. If her estrogen compared to a man is lower than that, her stress levels are increasing in her body. We can measure that. Now, when a normal man, I'm happy, I'm right now, my testosterone levels would be on average 10 times higher than any woman in my neighborhood. Okay, so 10 times higher. There's always going to be exceptions, bodybuilders and whatever, but relationship between a man and a woman's hormones, you can just go online and just see the chart that men's testosterone levels are 10 times, on average, 10 times higher. If it goes lower, there's certain symptoms that happen, which are all stress symptoms. So when men have elevated cortisol, what you'll see is not that their testosterone levels are going higher. They're actually going lower as his estrogen levels are going higher. And that creates the fight or flight reaction. When men estrogen goes higher and their testosterone's going lower, what that basically puts them into is a place of aggression and anger and upset or fear, fight or flight. And for women, when they're stressed, their estrogen levels will tend to go down and their testosterone levels will tend to be higher. So we just look at women who are unhappy and stressed, overwhelmed. Look at that common experience that many women have. So overwhelmed. Her testosterone levels are higher, her estrogen levels are lower. Now let's take a moment to reflect on some of the simple aspects of this. Whenever a man or a woman feels have a goal and they're trying to achieve that goal and something's in the way and they're confident they can solve that problem. So solving problems with confidence will always raise your testosterone. As a man is watching his football team and they win, they achieve the goal, they solve the problem, his testosterone levels will go super high. As a simple example, many other types of studies. When a man is doing a test, and or a man or a woman, when you're doing a test and you do better than others, your testosterone levels will go higher. Ironically, it's a joke, but it's true that if a man chops wood, I don't know about women on this one, but if a man is chopping wood, his testosterone level even goes much higher. Now, when a man is attracted to a woman and she's attracted to him, there's a much higher level of testosterone and estrogen for the woman. So that's the mechanics, the polarity of this masculine energy, which women have. Women are solving problems, achieving goals, overcoming. As long as she has confidence, I'm solving a problem, her testosterone levels are going up. It's just if her estrogen levels have gone down, then she's in a stress state. We're trying to find this balance between the right balance of estrogen and testosterone for each person, whatever that might be. You know that you hit the right balance is when you're feeling really good. And you know your estrogen and testosterone are really high in balance when you're falling in love. So that's like an example. So the symptom for women when they don't feel safe, now the prerequisite for estrogen to go up is to feel safe. When you feel safe, that's oxytocin. A lot of research has shown that oxytocin levels will actually lower a woman's stress levels because she feels safe. There hasn't been the other research combining these two ideas that I have, but there's also research showing that when women are stressed, their estrogen levels are low. So it's just common sense. If a woman feels safe, then she can depend on someone. And when you can depend on someone, like there's the big fires going on, you firemen come in, all women fall in love with firemen. My daughter's house burned down one time, and the fireman went into the house to get her computer where she was writing a book. And boy, she fell in love with that fireman. So when everybody loves firemen, when they rescue men, they're heroes, they risk their lives, So when you're in the presence of somebody, you go, I can depend on this person, your estrogen levels go up. When you're going to a therapist, for example, you're depending on them for help. If you believe they're going to get help, you are going to get help. Your estrogen levels go up. Go to a doctor, your estrogen levels go up. And for many women, if their estrogen levels are low, suddenly they'll feel so good just because they feel I can depend on someone.
So this is yeah, please.
So basically what I've done is now when I started out with Mars Venus, I was just using common sense, helping women understand men because I understood men. And for my wife and through my counseling, hundreds of clients over 9 years, I really got to know women because 90% of the women who come to therapy, not just with me, are women. Why is that? Well, one of the reasons for that, at least in this context, is she's depending on me for help. Her estrogen goes up, her testosterone goes back down because she feels support is there and her stress levels go down. So what do we do in therapy? We talk. And mainly I listen, I ask questions, and she talks. And when she feels safe, I'm not going to judge her. I'm not going to say you're overreacting. I'm not going to say that's stupid. I'm not going to say that's ridiculous. I'm not going to look at the clock. I got my eyes beamed on her. I'm getting paid. This is my job, is a fire I'm putting out. By understanding what women often need in therapy is someone who will listen with unconditional support, seeking to understand.
But they don't all fall in love with you, obviously, or they did not. The thing is that they have men at home, they have husbands, they have boyfriends, and of course, there's things or situations in life where you don't understand the other person or your spouse. You sit there and you think, what's going on? You made that example with both are sitting on the couch and relax, and his brain is, if you ask him, he's thinking nothing. And this is when the woman asks the man, what do you think? And he says, well, nothing. And she is going, her brain is starting to move when she's sitting and relaxed. So what kind of region in the brain, I think, is it the hippocampus that you were talking about? That is a reason for that, or what is the reason?
The reason for that, I don't know. I'm not a total brain scientist. I just look at the research. And for that particular one, the research I found on that was a Harvard study where they just had men, women sit down on the couch and asked them to relax. And they put the electrodes on, and they found that when you say to a woman, relax, her activity in the brain speeds up. Okay. And you say to a man, relax, his brain stops basically. And you can ask the woman, what are you thinking about? And she'll say, I'm thinking about all the things I need to be doing that I'm not doing while I'm sitting here on this couch. And you ask the man, what are you thinking? He said, nothing. It's a time to relax. And there's a cycle that I learned, from studying gender many years ago, back in the 90s, or even, the 90s, 80s. In the 80s, we didn't have internet or anything. I'm going to shopping centers. I'm watching people. I sit in restaurants. I listen to men and women talk. I've got my counseling clients. I'm listening to them. And also I'm reading the muscle magazines, because these are your manly men with big muscles, right? They got the big muscles. And I was shocked to see in these magazines that for all of these muscle builders, there was libido pills. Now, these guys are in their 20s and they need libido pills. I'm just thinking, around that time, I'm 35. I guess I am about that. The last thing I need is a libido pill. The last thing I need. So how could these guys need libido pills? Then I began to understand later in life, some of my clients were muscle guys, and they couldn't get it up with their girlfriends or with their wives, maybe once or twice, and then it couldn't come up. And I said, you really should go check your testosterone because it's low. And they go, oh, how can it be low? I have so many muscles. Well, testosterone is changing all the time, but it takes a lot of testosterone. Working your muscles builds testosterone, but it also uses up testosterone. So if you overtrain, your testosterone levels will be low. And this man came back to me and said it was 0. So I told him just to cut back on all his training, because he trains the soldiers and everything, high-end guy. And then start learning not to talk about his feelings. That was another thing I taught him, because he would had to cut back, because in muscle building, there's a knowledge there. You can overtrain and then you don't make any progress and your testosterone goes down. So what you do is you work hard and then you have to recovery time. Well, I applied that to myself as a man. I work hard and I need my time to recover. And that recovery time after using up your testosterone, your body then will make more testosterone. But if you're making testosterone, that's the focal point, and you're thinking about a conversation with your wife and you're trying to listen to her, your estrogen goes up instead of your testosterone going up. See, every time I connect with my wife, my estrogen goes up. And because we have a good relationship, that's why I get erections. It's ironic that for a man to get an erection, he has to have high testosterone, which means I'm confident, I'm loved, I'm accomplished, confident guy. So you feel good about yourself. That's testosterone, always that goes with confidence. So I'm feeling good about myself and I'm connecting to her. I'm feeling her appreciation, her love for me and so forth. That's a softening influence. That makes my estrogen go up. And so while my testosterone is high and my estrogen is going up, then an erection occurs. So this was interesting. Most people don't know this, that in order for a man to have an erection, he has to have his testosterone needs to be going up, but also his estrogen has to be going up. But it has to be the right balance. If estrogen's going up and his testosterone's not, then he's shut down. He has no emotion at all. Because if my estrogen goes too high, my body says it's too much, then naturally my body will have a mechanism that says, okay, stop feeling. And he goes to his cave. His erection goes away. He shuts down. And this was an amazing experience for me, a mystery for me in the beginning, having been a monk. You get in a state of unbounded awareness. You feel good all the time. You feel great. You feel love, all this positive feeling. And then you're having sex with your wife and you're starting to have sex again. And then there's an argument. Okay. It's really easy to be in a positive state when everything's positive around you. But we get an argument and I feel rejected by her. I would just shut down. I mean, like suddenly I had no feelings at all. It was like some power came over me. And most men relate to this, particularly the more spiritual you are, that you disconnect from that spiritual energy whenever you're angry. It just disconnects. And so it was like a mechanism. And this is what that's a more extreme version of men going to their cave, is that you pull away from connection. Think of connection as estrogen. Think of testosterone as detachment, unlimited, unbounded. And remember, as I'm talking about this, all of us have both these sides inside. But if you have a woman's biology, if you're feeling stressed, you want to go more to your female side. And if you're a man's biology, if you're angry, stop talking. Don't share your feelings. Take time for yourself. Look within yourself. Self-analysis, meditation, exercise, go lift some weights, suck it up. This is just the phrase,
Okay.
be a man, suck it up. It's like, it's like I'm saying the worst thing in the world. Oh, poor men, they have to suck it up. But if you're angry, what you have to do is suck it up. Now, what does that mean? It doesn't always work. Then you have to take space, or you have to do some solution. You have to have a procedure in your brain. Okay, what am I going to do to feel confident again that my goal is being achieved? But one time I was angry, but I wanted to be a good listener for my wife, but I could just feel myself getting activated. So I just did what they teach you in the Army: suck it up. You know, your general, drill sergeant is humiliating you, and you've got to say, yes, sir, yes, sir. So at that time, I practiced sucking up my abs, and I felt so much better. That's where that phrase comes from: suck it up, because you're actually contracting your muscles. Whenever you contract muscles, you produce testosterone. It was just a way to produce testosterone. So I have a new technique, which is every men are like starting to get angry, just start doing push-ups, go do exercise. That's one way to do it. I
So
do it
interesting.
and
Yeah.
there's another way. See, we have all these qualities of our male side. So if I'm getting upset, let me do something, go to my male side. If I'm upset, for me, I'm not always going to do the push-ups thing. I'm not so much of a muscle person, more mental. So I do self-reflection. So I reflect on myself and I analyze, like being with Freud. Basically, I analyze, what am I feeling and why am I feeling that way, and why am I feeling that way, and why. Go into analysis of what your feelings are. So I have a lot of techniques of teaching men, particularly how to analyze what their feelings are, as well as for women. But the emphasis for women is first discover what the feelings are, then the analysis comes. For men, it's right away you're upset, identify it and analyze it, and identify what else, analyze it until you come back to a place of feeling love. And why would I feel love after analyzing all my negative emotions? Because I'm not acting on them, I'm analyzing them. I'm restricting myself from acting on them. I never act on negative emotions. Otherwise, I just reaffirm the limited belief that's causing that negative emotion.
Interesting. I have a question now. There's a movie. It's shown on the platform Cosmic Cine TV. We have it here in Germany, and it's called Slow Sex. It tells the story about it's a documentary. It tells the story about how sex is so much more fun if it's not just a mechanical thing. It's more about taking it all, slowing down, and going away from that competition, I can do it thing. Did you, of course, you did a lot of meditation and you did Tantra, as you just said. So is that something that you can also recommend to kind of slow things down and get more into that kind of, let's make it a game. Let's try more things than just the act. What is your experience with that?
Well, this is a big subject, big subject. And I wrote a book, Mars, Venus in the Bedroom. It was very popular in Germany. And you start out slow. Okay. You start out with love before focusing on performance, because I'm a man, I'm a stud. I can go for hours and hours sometimes if she's into it and I'm into it. I mean, it's a fantastic feeling to raise your energy higher and higher and higher. Sometimes it's your 30-minute making love. Sometimes it's 1 hour. That's much better. But sometimes it's every position in the world. And the wonder what she likes. Some of them, and sometimes she doesn't like a position, but after a while she does want that one. And it's just what it is. Positions is just you go for a while, you have an orgasm, and then you go for a while, you have another orgasm, and this is not the traditional orgasm where you're done. These are orgasmic highlights, you might say, or you become orgasmic. So I never ejaculate. A part of my youthfulness and my 73, and I still have a very strong libido, great sex. For me to do the technique that I teach, I read the book Slow Sex, and to me, the whole time I was just slow, I'd be so bored. Okay, I'm a passionate guy. We're rocking out, but we start out slow. Okay, you're connecting, and a lot of techniques for connecting, I felt bored doing. Like one of the things they say is breathe together. Okay, well, maybe because all my years I don't need to breathe together. What I do is I just be close and I notice my breath and I notice her breath. That's it. I'm just noticing. It's an allowing the body to do its thing, kind of like a horse. You let it do a thing, but you guide it in the right direction. And the idea is, if you think of arousal going from 1 to 10, around 7, you basically have the same movement that you would have if you went to 10. It's literally a pelvic movement. All climax is a release of tension, and you've lost your energy, as opposed to letting it hit its peak, letting it settle down. Let's go to the peak, let it settle down. And a lot of allowing it to settle down can happen even while it's rising. You just stay in that place. You give up all goals for both the man and the woman, and you enjoy making love. And so the emphasis of what I teach is not performance, although performance is fun and it goes along with it. But more importantly, it's the expression of the love in your heart. And you do that by doing a simple process, where a woman says, while you're making love, you say, do you like me? He says, yes. Do you love me? I love you, yes. And how much do you love me? I love you with all my heart. Do you think I'm beautiful? Oh, you're so beautiful. You're so gorgeous. Are you turned on to me? I'm so turned on to you. Do you always want to be with me? I always want to be. You're my partner for life. I love you so much. Now, if you ask having the woman say that, not the man say that. See, the female side of us is, and remember, I'm talking about male side, female side. Every woman has a male side, female side. But the female side, think about when the passion was the greatest in the beginning of a relationship for most people. What is she thinking at that time? Do you like me? Do you love me? How much do you love me? Do you think I'm beautiful? Do you want to be with me? Do you regret being with me? Do I make you happy? All those things are the insecure feelings that are always there. It's a part of us, which is a load of passion in that place. So for her to leave her male side, which is so confident, of course, he loves me. And if he doesn't love me, I'll dump him, whatever your powerful self is, leave that over and come temporarily just to your pure female side. Because what that does is it creates polarity. Polarity happens when a woman's estrogen levels are rising higher and higher and higher, and his testosterone levels are rising higher and higher, and his estrogen levels are higher and higher, and her testosterone is rising higher and higher. You get this sort of rise of polarity, but she's always more feminine. He's always more masculine, at least to get the energies up there. Then you can switch roles, but you want to keep having polarity. He's on top of her. Now she jumps on him, throws him down. That's her being on her male side. And there's parts of the body that produce polarity. I go into the subtleties of what the clitoris does, what the G-spot does, what the breasts do, all these spots have to be touched in a certain order to a certain degree to make sure her estrogen's rising, then her testosterone's rising, then her estrogen go higher, and then her testosterone can go higher. So you're trying to balance these things. Like in our lives, women go to work, they're primarily making testosterone. They need to have a work-life balance. They have to have a balance where they interact in situations that allow them to leave work behind, that I've got to solve everything, and go over to their female side to let other people support her more. And then she balances her male and female sides. And biologically, she's balancing the right balance between her testosterone and her estrogens. So there's a million questions I know people have. And suddenly, like, what about menopause? And what about this? And what about, there's so many things that come up. This is a vast new knowledge and a new theory of relationships. But the simple answer here is if you're in a relationship with passion, in the beginning of the relationship, there's so much passion. One of the major reasons for that is you don't know your partner yet, and you have no history. So there's a lot of serotonin. It's all new and different. You get a lot of dopamine, and for both men and women. And when you have high dopamine, what happens for men? It will give a surge of testosterone. And if a woman feels safe and there's a high level of dopamine, then her estrogen levels will rise. And so now you have these polarity, which is like the magnet pole, one pole of the magnet and the other pole, they will attract. And if they start becoming the same, if he starts becoming too much the feminine, you got two negative poles there, they will repel. You won't notice the repelling. You'll just start noticing that you don't want to get that close. And here I'm at 73. It's not like I feel like I felt in the beginning of my marriage. Just you touch their finger and there's polarity. That's because the high dopamine is there. But it's inevitable in relationships that the newness wears off, familiarity sets in, and we want familiarity. We want to feel at ease and comfortable. That's more the serotonin and balance out with the dopamine. But what happens is the dopamine, you don't get that free dopamine to raise a man's testosterone. But if you keep the polarity in the relationship, then always there's that higher testosterone in him, higher estrogen in her, and the contraction is there.
But how do you do that? How do you keep the polarity there? Because this is one of the biggest secrets to keep a long-term marriage or long-term relationship alive. You manage that. So what is your advice?
Well, it takes a lot of understanding. We're getting to it, which is why polarity is so important. What polarity is I am more masculine and she is more feminine. And when you have that polarity, now even in gay relationships, one will tend to be more feminine and one will be more masculine. See, there's the who's on top, who's on bottom. There's that tendency. And it's interesting. Sex is a place which is so primitive, so unconscious, the driving force, eating and having sex, to the most powerful things there are as far as our bodies are concerned. The techniques that I teach are all about how to help women come, when they're on their male side, how to come back to their female side. And when a man is on his female side, how to come back to his male side. So now you have a context of, okay, how do you create this polarity? I never complain. I can complain to my friends, and usually we just make jokes about it. I can go to a therapist and complain. I never complain in the presence of my wife. I suck it up. I'm not a whiner. I'm not a complainer. I won't blame her for stuff. She says, you blame me? I said, oh, no. I never blame you, honey. Nobody's perfect. I love you just the way you are. So this is our instinct. See, if you just follow your instincts to say what you feel, we live in this world where everybody's supposed to just say what they feel. You can destroy the world that way. It takes discipline to maintain this polarity. And the discipline I have, less discipline for her, some wisdom from her side. But the wisdom from her side is not to store feelings. If ever you hold back your feelings, suppress your feelings, hold back, secretly have resentments towards your partner, it just gets worse and worse. It's like putting a potato in a drawer and then things grow out of it in the darkness. It's not healthy. You have to be able to take whatever you're suppressing and process it so that it brings your estrogen back up. Because when you're suppressing emotions, you're suppressing your estrogen levels. You're pushing down your femininity. You're sucking it down, so to speak, or sucking it up. You're holding back. You need to be this expressive force. Now, I'm not saying I never express my emotions with my wife. I express my love emotions. I'm sad, tearful emotions, compassion emotions, but never blaming, attack, trying to change somebody. The problem for everybody, particularly for men, is when they express emotion or feel emotion and express it with the intent to change somebody. Okay, this is just, then suddenly that negativity becomes your tool to win the situation. Never use negativity to win the situation. For women to learn the process of sharing their negative feelings, not to change their partner, not to change anybody else, but to change themselves, to literally raise their estrogen levels and have greater self-awareness of themselves. But women have a greater need to do this through relationship, through the mirror. If I share with you and you're seeing, then I have a greater awareness, so I can sort of make sense of it over time. So if you have negative feelings about her partner, go talk to somebody else about your partner. That would be a coach or a therapist, or that could be praying to God. It would be, don't dump negativity on your partner. But if your negativity is there and it's not about your partner, then say to your partner, I just want to share my stress today with you. I want to talk about my feelings for the next 10 minutes. I don't want you to say anything. You don't have to fix anything. Ask me some questions only from the point of view of helping me understand, or say nothing. And after 10 minutes, I'll feel better and come give you a hug. And a man goes, what? I did nothing? No, men don't instinctively understand the gift you give when you let somebody talk. And for women, because talking is sharing feelings, sharing your inner world, particularly things you wouldn't normally share in the outer world. This is a key factor here. It's more personal. I'm not going to share something with the whole world. I'm just going to share it with myself. I'm going to share it with you what I don't tell anybody else. That is a big estrogen stimulator. First of all, the oxytocin is being produced because you're feeling safe. This is somebody I can share myself with, and they're not going to hold back their love. It's like I can be naked with you, and you're not going to judge me. You're not going to judge me. You're just turned on. And there's so many tips along this stuff for women to know about men. If a man's turned on to you, he has no judgments about your body ever. Women have a lot of how to build confidence about my imperfect body. Women are always judgmental of their body so much. But look, just keep it covered until he's turned on. He'll never have a judgmental thought about your body. We're so simple when that comes. But women are very challenging on their bodies. I understand that. So understanding these things about men and women, you would never say anything critical about or judgmental about your partner's body. Even if she was to say, look at this cellulite, you say, I only see you, honey. I love you. Or, oh, I'm gaining so much weight. I wouldn't say, well, go to the gym. Everybody knows go to the gym. She's looking for reassurance.
So, when I saw your your videos and also your TEDx talk. It's always so hilarious. People start laughing so much because you recognize so many patterns, so many situations that happen between men and women. You just recall them and people just cracking up. I think maybe this is one of your secrets also to bring across the book and all the wisdom that is in there to make people laugh. But just to jump a little bit, John, because this is all huge topics. You also say that today women have just much more of a testosterone level than they did maybe 30 years ago. Is that, I would like to ask you for a prognosis. Do you think that is going to increase even more? Or do you think that we're going to have a kind of a switch back? What is your prognosis? What is your prediction for the future?
Well, when I describe for 30 minutes, it seems it's just testosterone, estrogen, but a woman could have low testosterone, for example, from being too far on her male side, just like a man can have low testosterone from being only on his male side at all the time and not giving a chance to recover. But what testosterone, estrogen, progesterone, oxytocin, these are the things I talk about in the book. They just help us to understand activities that stimulate this hormone or that hormone. For example, the estrogen level needs to be higher up to ovulation, but then after ovulation in a 30-day cycle, it needs to come down, almost half. And then her progesterone has to get produced. And if her progesterone doesn't get produced, then she's stressed out. So then I try to look in, okay, where's some stuff on research showing, as well as my own personal experience, what stimulates progesterone in women? And what stimulates progesterone in women is any situation that they're enjoying. If you're enjoying something and you're not stressed, you're making plenty of progesterone on the other side of the cycle. But progesterone, in order for women to make testosterone, now we'll do biology for a moment, just even to make testosterone, she has to use up progesterone. So usually it's when women are really far on their male side that they have all of the problems with what's called estrogen dominance, which is really just not enough progesterone. So it's a little confusing because the way they measure these things, but always women need estrogen. It's just towards ovulation, it needs to go to higher levels.
Oh,
And
okay. Sorry to interrupt. Maybe I should ask the question in a different way. Maybe let's put it like this. Women from 2025 now tendentially have maybe more male sides to their personality
yes.
on an average than, let's say, 40 years ago when your first books came out. Is your prediction that this will increase, that we will have more male sides in the future? Or do you think we will come back to more than how we were 40 years ago? You know what I mean?
So many
Just
women are
away from the hormones, just on a very everyday level to talk about it.
Yes. So just it's conversations are happening all over the world for women who have been on their male side. They're very productive. They often find themselves alone, and some are still in relationships, but they can't relax. They can't enjoy making love. The passion goes away. Those are big questions I see, which is the passion goes away, and women already being aware of how can I soften? How can I come to the female side? They can already see that feeling powerful is good, but there's another kind of power. The power you get from getting other people to do things for you, not having to do it all. See, as a man, I can do it all. I feel very powerful. But for a woman, I can do it all. She feels powerful. Then she kind of goes, I don't want to do all this. I went too far. Because there was a place where women were way over on their female side, sort of their male side was repressed, pushed down as we're evolving towards wholeness. The women went way to their male side, and as you go from the female side over to the male side, there's a balance point right there. You're still on your female side, becoming more masculine. It's ecstasy. That's what orgasm is, or being orgasmic, is your male and female energies are in balance. It's fantastic. I remember being in the 60s, a regular Texas boy with my brothers and so forth, boxing, karate, had a paper route, all very industrious, masculine qualities developing inside of me. And then suddenly the Beatles came out, and remember growing out their hair. I grew out my hair. I got kicked out of school because I was wearing bell-bottom pants and hair. I was going to my female side. I still remember it was just so exciting. I wanted to wear pink shirts. I wanted to wear beads. it was beautiful because I went from this sort of male side of me over to my female side. And in that process of going over, it feels so good. And that's what we do when we make love is men literally go to their female side while their testosterone is rising up because a woman is appreciating him, trusting him, opening him up. See, for a woman to authentically want to have sex with a man, okay, if some women just want to go have sex because they're way on their male side and they're like men. But if you're more on your female side, you only want to have sex with a man if you feel safe, you feel you can depend on him for something, that you can trust him, that you don't try to change him, he's done things for you, which is the whole concept of creating romance. Men do things for women. He's done some nice things for you. Your estrogen levels go up. Her estrogen level going up in the presence of a male causes his testosterone levels to go higher and higher. For me personally, I'm a big successful guy in many, many different ways. My testosterone never goes higher from any of my work than it does when I make love with my wife. There's just no question. I know the feeling of feeling powerful and also at the same time, all this love, to feel more love than I can feel any other time, except with my grandchildren. My children, I've always felt love, but I don't feel that power. I'll go spend time tomorrow with my grandchildren and I'll be exhausted at the end of the day. And why is that? Because I haven't been making a lot of testosterone. I'm just feeling love and being the presence of a little being of unconditional love. So there's a lot of different places in our life to balance our hormones. Relationship is one place to do it. And for people that want to have that, what I found is how do you create polarity is I do things like I don't complain. I don't argue. I don't fight. I learned if a man gets angry, his estrogen levels are going higher. See, everybody thinks anger is some kind of masculine thing. No, real men don't complain. If we look at, women say, I want a real man. What she wants is a man with a plan. He has goals in his life. He does what he says he's going to do. And I'm not saying he has to be perfect here, but he has goals. He wants to achieve those goals. And she is more important than anybody else. But he has to first take care of himself. And that's the whole point of marriage. If you were to ask me, well, so many people think, what's the point of marriage? Besides, that's a reality, to have children and a family and grow together. But emotionally, hormonally, monogamy will push a woman's estrogen levels higher up. But I know all that stuff. I know all the complications that happen with it. And if you just look at the logic of it and my life experience of it that I'm sharing and helping other people, when a man is truly committed, that's pure masculinity. I said I'm going to do it and I'm going to do it. I keep promises. And what's the most important promise for a woman on an emotional level is to feel special. Okay. When you feel special, see, if you look at all the dynamics of romance, it's where a man does things that makes a woman feel he remembers her, he thinks of her, and he does things for her that he doesn't do for anybody else. That's why sexual monogamy is so important. It's such a vulnerable place. And to feel that you're doing that with other people, it just shuts you down because you don't feel special. Feeling special is a very powerful feeling. And to be special, you're number one, and he doesn't go to anybody else for what he gets from you. He has other friends, he has people he cares about, whatever, but she is number one. And when I make her number one, what comes out of her is such a high level of estrogen that makes me number one for her. I have to earn it. She doesn't. I bring her to that level because I care about her, love her. And also, my wife says to me, you're the best man I could ever imagine. I can't believe it. You're so giving. I said, no, I am so selfish. I am probably the most selfish person you'll ever meet because I know if I do things for you and you're happy, then I will be happy. It's a very clear thing. It's so,
it sounds,
it
sorry.
sounds,
Yeah.
it
Sounds so simple, but in an everyday level, obviously it's not simple.
Oh, it's so hard for men and for women to be able to take your negative emotions, if they're about your partner, to talk to somebody else about it, come back to finding forgiveness and love and understanding, to let him be a man. But you can't let him be a man. Let him be him without trying to change him unless you know what a normal man is. And a normal man goes to his cave, a healthy man. And people don't like the word normal, but there's something called healthy. We can call that how we're designed to be happy and fulfilled. A man works hard. He needs his alone time. He's not always going to be doting on you and looking at you just because you're the number one person in his life. He also has to take care of himself so he can take care of her. And she has to take care of herself. And whenever she's unhappy, she shouldn't go to him to become happier. She should be
That's
happy.
a good advice. Yeah,
Very
that's
important.
very good advice. Yeah.
We're adults. We're not children. As children, I need my parents to make me happy, but I need to be an adult. I can make myself happy, but by giving to her in a way that makes her happier, makes me happier. And for her, if she's looking at me make her happy, it's not going to work. You have to be an adult. You have to learn to find, I have a life, I have friends, I have self-reflection, I have support, I have therapy, whatever you need to be happy in your life. You got a good job, whatever, you're happy. Then a man, so easy for me to live with a woman like that. I can just make her happier. But the happier part is the polarity. She has to become vulnerable. I have to become selfless in this process of prioritizing her. So again, these are concepts, but what I do in my books is give people practical things like the 4 hugs a day. It sounds so simple, but I wake up, my wife's feeding the kids. I run in there. I don't say hi to the kids. I give her a hug. She's number one. Just that one thing. She go, oh, I'm being seen and heard, whether she knows she wants it or not. So many women are so connected to their male. So, oh, I don't care. I don't care. No, just do it, man. You'll see. She'll start to like it. And I go off to work, or she goes off to work and say, oh, you're going off to work. Let me give you a hug first. Go give a hug. And when you give the hug, it's not a sexual hug. It's a 6 to 8 second hug, which has been proven to raise her oxytocin, allow her to remember the good things why she loves you. And then you come home from work. The kids are jumping on me. Oh, where's your mom? Go give the mom the hug. She says dinner's ready. If she's cooking dinner, you jump up from the computer, you go right out. These are all little things because you say, okay, kids, go into dinner. I'll be in a few minutes. Women need respect. All the books on gender talk about, oh, we need to respect men, respect men. Yeah, everybody deserves respect. We need to respect women more. That's why women want to become men, is they get no respect being women, being feminine, being nurturing and supportive. What they do is they give birth to life. It's an amazing thing to be a mother. It's like a goddess, a queen.
Let's take this as a prognosis that it's all about coming to each other, towards each other. The male side, the female side, it's all about balance. I think that's my personal prognosis for the future.
Yes, yes.
And and so I thank you so much for sharing your time with us for Friends for a Better World. And I hope that a lot of people still and in the future will get information, get wisdom from you, from your books and from your conferences, maybe also from personal training, from coaching. And yes, thank you so much for having the honor to talk with you, John.
Oh, my pleasure, Katrin. It's hard to hold me in 45 minutes, but thank you. A real pleasure.
Yeah, thank you very much for the talk and good luck for everything.